They said, do another one right away. What? He says, yeah, it's not about one album. You have to build a body of work. And if you don't build a body of work, you're not going to have traction in any field of endeavor.
John, if we can sort of indulge ourselves for just one question here, that is, we are in a process of finishing a book, and we're not totally there yet. It's a tool book for writers. As someone who has written and released over, 20 books, I believe?
30 now.
30? Okay, on your website. You have
my own website, bafflegabbooks.com or johnvorhaus.com. They'll both get to the same place.
Okay. What advice can you give us on getting a book out there to the public?
Well, you're already making one smart move that you might not be aware of, and that is you're writing a how-to book. In today's market, there are two classes of information. Information that people need and information that people just want. Information that people need, people will pay for information they need. They won't necessarily pay for information they just want because they really don't have to. Information they want is what we call entertainment. So if I need to know how to be a writer, I'm drawn to books that will teach me that. And if I sample the books and I feel like it's going to move me toward that goal, I'm likely to buy it. I need what this book has. I need this information, so I'm going to pay for it. But if all I want is to be entertained by a story, I don't really need to pay for a story because the entertainment value of one story can be found in another story, and there are a lot of stories. You could read novels for 100 lifetimes for free, find them online, and never run out of content that you might enjoy. But if you want to be a stand-up comic, you're going to have to buy a book on stand-up comedy or just get out there and do it yourself. And the market that you've defined for yourself, people who want to be writers and need to be writers will seek the information that you have. Now, with that said, what can I offer you that will help? Be liberal in giving it away, because that's how you build a brand. It might look like you're undercutting sales, but if you let people sample your wares and find that there's value in it, that will help them make the buy decision. So I put the first chapter of all of my books on my website, for example, and Amazon does the same thing, so that you can sample the book and see if there's enough value to make it worth what you're paying for it. You have followers, people who follow your brand, so they are your market. They should be tended to liberally and respectfully. I don't know if you have given thought to how you'll do like newsletters and social media and all of that. I'm not an expert in any of that. All I know is it needs to be done. And if there's a should in my life that is unfulfilled, I should be doing a lot more promo than I am. Don't imagine that anyone else will be a champion for your book. You must be a champion for your own book. Many of your peers will be too busy trying to be champions of their own book to be a champion of your book. And no one will ever love your work as much as you love it. That's not just true for you, it's true for me, it's true for most writers. We write it, we fall in love with it, we fall passionately in love with it. And other people read it and they say, yeah, okay, that was pretty good, I got that. I'll give you an example. You have in your hands my latest book, Cartoons for Smart People. And you'll go through that book, it won't take you more than...
Do you want to show it?
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Cool
You
cover.
must mean this book, Cartoons for Smart People, available at Amazon or johnvorhaus.com. That's JOHNVORHAUS.com. Oh, let's sample one, shall we?
Sure, please.
Oh, here's a good cartoon. Here's a cartoon that says, I'm not infallible. But if you look closely, you see it says, I'm not infallible. So the very person who's claiming to be infallible is in fact fallible. And that is recursive humor, which is one of the many forms of humor I use in this book, which isn't the point. The point is, since it's a book of cartoons, it won't take you 10 minutes to read it. And you'll laugh at some of them and you'll scratch your head at others of them, but at the end of the day, you'll have a distant relationship with it. I can't open that book without thinking about every single piece of work I did to create those images and how much love and sweat and hard work I put into them. I have a very deep and personal bond with this book that no other human can possibly have. And so you'll experience this as well. You'll love your book more than other people love your books, and that may be dismaying to you because you want them to appreciate the hard work that went into it and the value that exists within it. And there may be a gap between your expectation and what the audience actually tells you about it. I will give you another piece of advice that you won't like. I didn't like it when I heard it. I had made a record album. This was back in the 80s. And I was on a folk festival bill with a famous folk singer. And I said to him, hey, I just did my first album. What advice do you give me? He said, do another one right away. What? He says, yeah, it's not about one album. You have to build a body of work. And if you don't build a body of work, you're not going to have traction in any field of endeavor. So I would say, don't treat this as the book, but as the first book. And then having written it and gotten feedback in terms of sales or comments, ask yourself, where do I want to take this next? To put it in my context. I spent a lot of time writing books on writing. And at a certain point, I wanted to go beyond that and talk about things that were useful to writers, but useful to other people as well. And that's what got me to the book of practice. You, as a writer, you ask yourself, where am I now? Where do I want to go next? And if you do it fearlessly and joyfully, then you can do it with passion and purpose. Let's touch on this. We've talked about these things separately. Let's synthesize them. Passion is the stuff that I'm good at and enjoy doing. Purpose is the stuff that makes me feel like my life is being well lived. So if I have a passion for teaching writers, it's something I'm good at and enjoy doing. And if I use my passion to teach writers in other parts of the world, then I'm fulfilling my purpose. I'm using the stuff I'm good at to live my life the way I want to. Again, thinking about the first responder. His passion is saving lives. His passion, the stuff he's good at, is breaking into buildings, climbing ladders, turning on hoses, turning off hoses, whatever, laying down fire lines. The purpose is saving lives. So that person is occupying a space at the pure intersection of passion and purpose. And that's where you want to put your practice. So you guys who clearly have a purpose in teaching writers, teaching and training writers, which you do through your videos, creatives of all type, you also have passion in terms of strength, skills related to understanding what writers need and how to communicate solutions to writers' problems. So in creating this book, you are operating at the intersection of your passion and purpose. You're using stuff you're good at to achieve a goal that you determine to be worthwhile. As I look at all the books that I've written, some of them were not at the unity of passion and purpose. Some of them were just playthings or didn't really serve a higher purpose. Maybe just experiments, which is okay. That's fine too. But for folks at home, if you're asking yourself, you want to know, am I on the right path? Ask yourself, where I stand now, am I at the intersection of passion and purpose? Because if you're there, you're on the right path by definition. And if you're not there, you're not on the right path by definition. I'll give you an example. You might not know this, you guys might not know this. In addition to all of my other practices, I have a practice of educational consulting. I help people get into graduate school, top 10 business schools, primarily, collaboratively with my wife and kind of acquired present in my life because of the work that she has done. I see a lot of similarity between my clients trying to get into business school and writers trying to write a book. So when I tell my clients trying to get into business school, one thing you're going to have to answer to in going to business school is, why are you going to business school? What purpose are you serving? And I said, well, I don't know. I'm just going to go to business school and get an education, figure it out. That's not going to work because you'll be competing against people who know exactly what they're going to do. So the first job for everyone going to business school is to try and figure out their career vision. And if they don't know what it is, I tell them to look at the intersection of passion and purpose because it can always be found there. To take it back to you, once you finish this book, and put it out there in the world, the next question will simply be, what else exists at the intersection of my passion and purpose, and how shall I choose to exploit it next?
So in other words, don't just rest on one book, don't just rest on one album. Keep going, have a body of work, and have it be things that you're passionate about, but that's also providing some type of value for someone that they may not necessarily need, but they might want.
Yes.
Okay.
Sure.
Okay.
Sorry, I was.
Oh, that's okay.
I was thinking about someone who is answering that from their insecurity and saying,
"Oh gosh,"
saying, how can I build a body of work when I've done nothing? How can I even think about building a body of work based on many books if I haven't even written and released my first book? It's enough to make you lose your mind. And so I would just offer the experience of this practitioner. I arrived at book writing kind of late in the game. I was 30 when I released the comic TOOLBOX, which was my first book and my best book. You'd think after 30 years I would have written a book that topped that. But no, that book is head and shoulders the most important thing I've ever written. That book will live on after I'm dead, buried, and gone. Cartoons for Smart People will not have that fate, I'm pretty sure. The point is, I was 30 when I wrote my first book. I'm 69 now, so that means that I've written less than a book a year, but something on approaching a book a year, which is not that heavy a lift. My books usually take me around 6 to 9 months to crank out. I write fast and I'm focused. I put in a lot of hours, but you'd be amazed at how much time you have to achieve creative outcomes. And I'm not speaking to you, I'm speaking to me, I'm speaking to everyone. As long as we're walking around on the planet and breathing in and breathing out, we still have time to achieve creative outcomes. We might not have as much time as we want, we might not be using it as effectively as we like, but there's a lot of it, and there's more than we imagine. I told you I've written 30 books, you know this, but you also know I can't count the number of scripts I've written. I can't count the number of classes I've taught. I can't count the number of people I've helped get into business school. I can't count the number of images I've created, and they number into the tens of thousands. And it's not like I'm spending all day, every day creating outcomes. There's a lot you can accomplish if you just get out of the way of your own fear.